So I stumbled upon a YouTube channel. It's called Negative Feedback. It's about film photography, large format, medium format, film photography in general. But this one video stuck out to me, one of his recent videos, where he talks about how he is using video as a medium, framing up video as if it's a photograph, which is something that I think we've probably all done. You know, you lock off a shot and that's your shot, and it's kind of like a photograph and everything stays still in the frame. But then he also talked about using like different compositions for talking to camera, and that's the idea that I want to steal. This is why this shot looks like this. And it's not all going to be weird framing choices like this one, but just getting it out of your face, getting the camera away from you, making the scene more interesting when I'm talking about something, so I don't have to use B-roll to cover up boring footage of me talking. I can use scenes like this, which are quite beautiful. So I've dragged out the Røde Wireless GOs, which I haven't used for a while. So maybe it's time for a review of them. I've had them a little over a year now. If I'd done this review a couple of months ago, 2 months ago, I think it would have been an absolutely glowing review. It's only that the last job that I used these on, they didn't do so well. And it's kind of user error, but it's also me using them in the way that they were designed for, but not taking into account that they might have a drawback. If you know what they are, they're a little clip-on microphone, and you can plug a lav mic into them, but they're a little wireless microphone unit, and you can just clip it straight to yourself. The thing is that the microphone on it has got like a little rubber gasket around it. When I put it on someone's jumper, around the collar, and they leant their head downwards, it like formed a seal around the microphone, and it gave this awful audio. Luckily I had some backup audio, but that was boomed over, so it sounds slightly different, so I had to cut between the two. It wasn't the best, and it just felt like something that I'd been using that was really good just let me down a little bit. And like I say, a little bit user error, a little bit not. I think getting away from the camera with the mic on is like a pretty decent range test. So at the moment I've got it on, obviously I'm only like 2 meters away from the camera at the moment, but I've got it with a lav mic plugged into it, which improves the quality definitely. Like a decent lav mic will definitely improve the quality. But usable range for me has been great. I've not got myself into a situation, and I'm not going to bother like testing it, like pushing it to its limits. And any distance that I would deem appropriate for making a video, it's been fine. It's been really good actually. I've not had it drop off at all. I've not really experienced any interference or anything like that. It's been really, really reliable. So before this, I was using the wireless filmmaker kit, which is, you know, it's a AA battery type deal. It's big, it's cumbersome. It needs a lav mic to be plugged into the transmitter. The original one that I had was definitely good enough. The only reason for buying this one instead is the size, really. The rechargeable battery is handy, but then it's also a downside as well, so it's kind of like a side move, but the size of it it's incredible. It's also really good to have that mic that's built into the transmitter, because then you just don't need to use a lav mic, and I've used it quite a few times, just the unit, because it saves having to run a lav up someone's jumper, up someone's shirt, something like that, find somewhere to store the transmitter. It just makes for a more seamless, you know, if you're doing maybe events and you need to like grab interviews, which is in fact the reason I bought this. I was doing events, it was very run and gun, but it was also a situation that was quite noisy, so I needed to get a lav mic onto someone for a 30-second interview, and I didn't have the time to, you know, fully mic them up. So this was why I purchased this. I bought this one and quite quickly realised that I didn't need the Filmmaker GO filmmaker kit. Can't remember what it's called exactly, because it's a really solid option. If you can find it used, it's a solid option. But this is great. So I don't like making reviews really, unless I've got something to say that I'm not seeing said somewhere else. And in the case of this little thing, I didn't have anything to say on it. It's great, but a lot of people have already said it's great. And it was only when I ran into this issue with it it was annoying, but it was my fault, which kind of made it more annoying. When it kind of made the seal with someone's neck and the audio went a bit crappy, and, you know, I had work to do in post, I thought I better sort of talk about it. So what happened was I put it on someone's jumper, and they were talking, but they were doing some demonstrations. So they were demonstrating some stuff on a table, and as they were moving stuff, they were looking down, and this little rubber bit, there's a little rubber gasket there around the microphone, and that made a seal, and that made the audio sound absolutely awful.
Soaked enough for you. Then foliage that we're going to use.
I always keep this in my bag. I always keep the pair of these in my bag. So it came in a pinch, and it was great, apart from the flaw in it. And the reason I'm making this review now, ages after buying these, is that because you should be aware that if you just put this straight onto someone, especially if they're wearing something that's kind of high-necked, there's a good chance if you don't put the wind muff thing on it, there's a good chance that you might end up with some bad audio. If they're just facing forward the whole time, it's going to be absolutely fine. It's if they're looking down or if they move in some way. Other than that, it's a fantastic little piece of equipment. The reason I wanted to say some other stuff around the flaw that I found in it and the kind of user error is because I didn't want you to get the wrong idea about my feelings about this. I would recommend these. I'll put a link down in the description. If you want to buy it, from that link you will give me a little bit of money without you spending any extra. But I'd encourage you to, jump on eBay and see if someone's selling one second hand, because I always recommend to buy stuff second hand. And obviously, if you buy it second hand, I ain't going to get a cut, but who cares? If you're doing YouTube work, if you're doing work that's like for social, for people's websites, if you can use this on paid work, definitely can use this on paid work. I wouldn't recommend it on anything where there's going to be some real production going into the audio. And what I mean by that is if you're going to record it and you're going to hand it off to someone and they're actually going to have to manipulate it, this is kind of like the shooting JPEG of the audio world. There are much better options out there if you want to do high production stuff. If you're doing really high production stuff, I recommend just employing someone who is good at that stuff, because it's a whole thing in itself. I know it's easy to think that it's just part of the video service that you offer, but I think if you really want to step up your game, bringing someone else in and getting it perfect is well worth it. So yeah, great product. Just be aware of, the little rubber seal kind of getting into you in the way of you getting some good audio. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.